What's up, everybody? I'm Thomas J. Bellezza, and welcome to another lesson on the right mindset. Today, we are going to go over Act 3, Section 9, The Protagonist Fights and Wins. I discovered this particular outline from Katie Tastic, or Kate O'Keefe, and her YouTube channel. You can check that out for more information on the 27 chapter outline. As you all know, I've turned it into the 27 plot point outline. So you're not beholden to 27 chapters, just the plot points. Some of the things we'll go over today in the video is we'll jump on a recap of Section 9 so you know what it is if it's been a while since you watched the first video. What should go in Section 9 and an overlook. And of course, we always use Shawshank Redemption if you've been following the series. So let's hit that intro. Boom, boom, boom. All right. If you haven't done so already, please hit the bell icon so you don't miss out. Subscribe, do all that fun stuff. We do lessons on craft, writing. We talk with a New York Italian accent because that's how I grew up. We analyze and review storytelling. And, of course, we have interviews on the channel with fellow writers. Let's get right into it. Let's do a quick recap of what Act 3, Section 9 is. Now, remember, each section is broken up into 3 plot points, and each act is broken up into 3 sections. The math is basically as is. So the 3 plot points in this Section 9 is as follows. It is 25, 26, and 27. Plot point 25 is known as the protagonist has one last battle. So this is the fight that starts, okay? Plot point 26 is the protagonist succeeds or fails in that last battle. If they fail, usually it's because of a fatal flaw in their character. Or they learn they have a moral victory. They learn something from it. Plot point 27, the last plot point in the outline, is the resolution or the immediate reaction to the protagonist's decision in the last chapter, or last plot point, which is plot point 26. All right. Shawshank Redemption. Let's do it. All right. As you can see, plot point 25, the protagonist has one last battle. In the movie, Andy does not exit the cell. The warden discovers... so just, if you haven't watched the other videos, real quick, Andy, in the last section, Section 8, basically what happens is he ends up getting the rope. He tells Red, you got to get busy living or get busy dying. He gets the rope, and then... he goes. He says goodbye to the warden, puts the thing into the safe, and then he walks to a cell. And this is Section 9, plot point 25. Protagonist has the last battle, which, as if you've seen the movie, the cells open up and Andy does not exit the cell. The guards are like, "Hey, you better be dead in there, or I'm gonna give you a weapon." Right? Well, it turns out that the warden discovers his shoes are not in the box, and then the alarm goes off saying that somebody has left their cell. The warden takes to the cell and searches it. Red is brought into Andy's cell because they're as thick as thieves. And when the hole is revealed, it gives hope to Red that anything is possible. And the warden interrogates Red, and Red knows nothing. It's the last battle. Where is Andy? They had to find him. Is he in the prison still, or did he escape? Okay, which leads us to plot point 26. The protagonist succeeds or fails. If they do fail, usually it's because of a fatal flaw in their character, or they basically learn a moral lesson, right? But in this case, Andy escaped and is at the bank, all while the warden is finally discovering the hole in the wall. They search for him in 1966, but Andy was free. All they found was muddy clothes and an old rock hammer worn down. It didn't take 600 years, it took just under 20. This is where we see the flashback of him tearing the wall apart, cleaning out the sand while he walked the yard, and using his time wisely to get out there. Oh, and a big goddamn poster, right? So we see how Andy switched the books for the safe and that he wore the nice shoes back to his cell. So he won. He succeeded. And what's nice is if you listen to the narration, Red is basically saying that he gets out of prison and he meets up with Andy. But anyway, moving on. What is the resolution, right? This is the immediate reaction to Protagonist's decision in the last chapter, or in this case, plot point 26. Okay. Yeah, I'll do this point for the visual. Sorry. So in this situation, Andy hands over all the paperwork about the corruption going on at Shawshank prison. He visited several banks with a total of $370,000, which is about $3.2 million today. Woo! The paperwork sent to the press leads to the warden killing himself and Hadley being arrested. Red gets a postcard in the mail from Andy. It finally is released. Oh, he's finally released on. He finally is released on parole. Red is enlightened at this point of his life after serving 40 years of his life sentence. Red tries out the new life. He can't handle it. He misses his friend. I just miss my friend. And knows he doesn't belong there. He sees Brooks was here carved into the wood. He ends up searching for the wall, the brick wall and tree that Andy talks about in the postcard. And he makes his way to see Andy. They reunite and embrace. I just want to see my friend. And there you go. That's what those 3 plot points look like in Shawshank Redemption. Let's keep going. What's next? Oh, by the way, in summary, Block 9 of Act 3 is all about the hero fighting to win the protagonist. In this case, he is fighting more than another person or villain. He's fighting a state of mind, a building, an institution, and breaks free of their grasp of the world he didn't belong to and was wrongly imprisoned for. The battle happens. He fought through 500 yards of God knows what. And in the end, he has a new life on the beach with his boat and hotel, where his friend Red shows up. So that's good to know. All right. Well, what should go in Act 3, Section 9? These are important questions we should be asking ourselves, right? Well, the final battle begins in plot point 25 because it's the protagonist has one last battle. And this battle can be mental, it could be physical, it could be spiritual, etc. It's just something where they are finally going against whatever the antagonistic force is, and or to solve the issue from the midpoint conflict. All right. Keep in mind that the battle doesn't end in this plot point. This is just the start of the battle. Just like in the Shawshank, him not being in a cell was the start of his battle. Did he or did he not escape? Okay. And you could also think of in the end game, right? This would be where Thanos fights Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America in the end of Avengers 3 Endgame. Spoiler. This would be after the headquarters was blown up and before the portals open. Okay. Plot point 26. This is the protagonist succeeds or fails. This is basically the part of the battle that will be the thing that defeats them, even if they, even if they lose, or they will become the victors. In Endgame, Captain America is the only one standing before all the portals open up, and now the final push to victory begins. In a romance like The Holiday with Jack Black and Kate Winslet, right? This is a romance. This would be when Miles finally confesses his feelings for Iris. Aww. This heartfelt scene marks a turning point in their relationship, solidifying their connection and setting the stage for their happily ever after. By the way, I love that movie. Just throwing that out there. I also like P.S. I Love You. I'm not saying I cried, but I cried. All right. Plot point 27, the resolution or the immediate reaction to the protagonist's decision in the last plot point 26. Now, there are a few examples of this one, and you could show the world after the battle. You could show, basically what are they doing directly after the battle. You could do what they've done, some time has passed, right? So plot point 27, the resolution, it's basically anything that it's their new world after the conclusion of that battle and what they're doing. And it could be as simple as a quick ending, or it could be like 3 years later, or whatever. It could be anything you want, as long as there's no more conflict added to what has been established at the beginning, at the inciting incident and the midpoint conflict. It has to be resolved. Everything has to be resolved, and this is just basically what they're experiencing now. In fact, if it was a story where, let's say like a James Bond character, the James Bond character, he ends up, getting Blofeld, and that's resolved. He stops a bomb or whatever. He saves the cat from Blofeld's wicked hands. The resolution could be just like he did in one of his movies with Daniel Craig, where M is like, are you back? And James Bond goes, I never left. And then the next moment is ultimately him working again, because that's James Bond. He goes back to work. So that's his resolve. He just keeps that life going. In Endgame, this shows everyone dealing with Tony Stark's, spoiler alert, death, and Captain America returning the stones. For the holiday movie, The Holiday, they are in London celebrating the New Year together. An example of a conclusion directly after the battle could also be The Transporter. I'm the transporter. I transport people in my car. The battle ends and everyone kind of is like, yeah, all right. And the credits roll. This happened a lot in like 80s movies, like Commando and stuff like that. It's just like they win, and then like as they're walking off, the credits are happening. Like that's what that would look like. Anyway, final thoughts. The end of your story will bring everything together in one final battle that determines the outcome of your protagonist's story. Think about the story beyond how it ends, and let the story elements you had been building on or gone through resolve. Let the tension, the conflict, let everything that has been built up to this point resolve. What kind of themes did you let breathe through your narrative? What about the journey of your character needs to be resolved? Think about more than how it ends by the result of everything leading to this moment. Meaning, you want to allow your ending to have some poignancy to it, even if it's a simple, straightforward poignancy. What are the themes? What are you trying to say? What's the period on those themes? What's the period on those characters? It could also technically be a comma where it's like comma and they lived happily ever after. Just show the accumulation of everything that has happened up to this point. The stronger your ending is, the stronger the experience of the story will be. Sometimes if you just end it, it doesn't really feel like, it's earned. So keep that in mind. Now, no story needs to end with a big battle or a major meltdown fight. So in plot point 25 and plot point 26, your story doesn't have to be a huge battle. Your story can be a mental battle of growth or an internal struggle with one's soul. Think about the Thomas Crown affair, right? So let's think of the Thomas Crown affair story, particularly focusing on the 1999 version starring Pierce Brosnan and Rene Russo. Can you say a James Bond? Anyway, so let's look at the 3 plot points for the Thomas Crown affair real quick. In plot point 25, the last battle begins. He basically goes and starts the heist at the art museum, where he steals a valuable painting. Spoiler alert. This marks the climax of his criminal activities and sets the stage for the final showdown with the investigator, Catherine Benning. Now, plot point 26 is, will he succeed or fail? The success or failure of Thomas Crown's heist is central to the story. Ultimately, he succeeds in stealing the painting, showcasing his cunning and resourcefulness. However, his success also leads to increased pressure from the authorities and a growing romantic connection with Catherine. His character is at a crossroads, torn between his desire for the excitement and the consequences of his actions, which leads us to the resolution, plot point 27. In the 1999 version of the Thomas Crown Affair movie, it is slightly different than the 1968 version. Thomas Crown decides to return the stolen painting and turn himself in, facing the legal repercussions of his actions. The immediate reaction provides closure to the story, highlighting his character growth and the impact of his choices. Catherine is there to witness his surrender, indicating the potential for a future together despite the challenges they face. Now, in summary, the plot points align with the key events in the story of the Thomas Crown Affair. Plot point 25 centers around Crown's daring heist. Plot point 26 deals with the success of his theft and the emotional complexities that follow. And plot point 27 showcases the resolution of the story as Crown decides to confront the consequences of his actions and his growing relationship with the Catherine. All right, there we go. Ooh, hey, ho, hey, we're done with that. Okay. The next video in the series will focus on tools to improve your acts. That's right. That lesson will take the 27 chapter outline and show you how to make each act a complete story within the large narrative of your novel. Ultimately, we will see the beginning, middle, and end of Acts 1, 2, and 3, and how they should have a flowing narrative within each of the isolated acts that will inevitably add momentum to the proceeding acts and conclusion of your narrative. Basically, what we're going to do in that video is we're going to show you how to turn Act 1 into its own story, Act 2 into its own story, and Act 3 into its own story. Each act should have basically a 3-act structure to it. I'm going to show you how to use the 27 outline, plot point outline, to do that. Question. What is your favorite part to work on within your narratives? The beginning, the middle, or the end of your stories? Let me know in the comments below. Hey. And as always, if you like what you're watching and you haven't done so already, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out. Other than that, this was a quick and straight to the point story that lesson that I'm excited about. I will add this a little bit before you go. If you're still here, you're gonna learn something. Or you're gonna learn. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm going to do another video, just like the first video in this series, where it's a 27 plot point outline. But I'm gonna clean it up and I'm gonna add some more information to it, and I'm gonna update it. It's been a year, over a year. And I'm hopefully want to have that out for my 2-year anniversary because it seems like everybody likes it. And I kind of want to add some elements to it and make it pretty. But until then, as always, keep developing the right mindset. I'll see you next time. Bye.